Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Storytime with Uncle Monkey. I am your Uncle Monkey, and today's story is called The White Narcissus. There once was a poor widow who depended on her only son to make ends meet. The small field they owned had never yielded much, certainly not enough to make a living. So every day the young man would get up before dawn to hire himself out as a laborer. He'd often be back late at night in time to eat a bowl of rice, go to bed, and be up in the darkness to start the day all over again. Now, on this one particular day, unknown to the mother, the son had to stay especially late on the job. The bowl of rice the mother had prepared for him sat on the table undisturbed. There it sat as time dragged on. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the doorway, a beggar. He was a most miserable-looking individual in rags, with a sallow complexion and sunken cheeks. He stood in the doorway, head bowed, and humbly asked if the widow had any food to spare. Poor soul, the woman thought. He must not have eaten for days. Well, she told him, I have a bowl of rice. Here, please take it. She handed the beggar her son's bowl of uneaten rice. He gobbled down the rice on the spot. Then he looked up at the widow. She was crying. Kind-hearted lady, asked the beggar, what makes you so upset? The widow dried her tears, smiled, and said, I'm sorry. The rice was supposed to be for my son, but he's young and strong. He doesn't need the rice as much as you do. Forgive me, but you look starved. My son can go to bed on an empty stomach. How many are in your family? Just the two of us, my son and me. Just the two of you? And what do you live on? Crops? Crops? The widow laughed through her tears. All we have are just this house and that small field behind you, that small field where nothing ever grows. No, we have no crops here. Any money we have is earned by my son, who hires himself out to the neighbors and anyone else who needs a day's job done. It's a very tough life for you both, said the old beggar. Without saying any more, he turned around and headed towards the field, mumbling some words to himself. Then, to the amazement, shock, and disgust of the widow, the beggar began spitting the swallowed rice all over the field. Up and down he went, spitting the rice here and there. Finished, he walked back to the stunned widow. Nice lady, said the beggar. The ancients said that any family with stored up kindness will always have some cause to celebrate in reserve. From today on, you shall never be poor and miserable again. The widow didn't know what he meant or what to say in return. The man turned around and walked until he was out of sight. The widow shrugged her shoulders, walked back into the house, and closed the door. The next morning, the widow and her son were greeted by an unbelievable sight. Opening the front door, they both gazed in amazement at their once useless field. Now, in the wet field, every square inch was taken up by magnificent, blooming, fragrant flowers. Not one speck of dirt or water could be seen. Instead, the whole field was ablaze with these sweet-scented white flowers. It now occurred to the widow that the old beggar of the night before had actually been some kind of spirit or immortal. Accordingly, she decided to name the flowers that now grew in the field Shui Shen Hua, or the Water Immortal's Flower, what we would now call the White Narcissus, which often adorns temple altars at New Year's. In time, people practically fought each other over the opportunity to buy and sell the White Narcissus. However, the widow and her son had the flowers first, and they earned a lot of money selling the flowers, allowing them to escape poverty forever.